Number 10. Austin Mahone. Once considered the next big thing in the 2010s, Austin Mahone was set to follow in Justin Bieber's footsteps and become a teen idol himself. But after years of hype, his music career never really took off. The singer started out by posting various covers of pop songs on YouTube in 2010, including Justin Bieber's Mistletoe, which catapulted his rise to fame. But right away, Austin made it clear that he did not appreciate the comparison, saying, "They see a young kid who sings and dances, they're like, oh, another Justin Bieber. Like, you don't even know, you don't know me, you don't know my music, you're just making assumptions." But fast forward to 2022 and Austin Mahone is nowhere to be seen in the music industry. So what gives? Well, in short, he had a falling out with his label due to poor sales of his album and had to restart his career somewhere else as an independent musician, which didn't really work out well either. In 2020, Austin made a questionable career move when he made an OnlyFans and reportedly auctioned a 10-minute video of him during alone time, which sold for $9,000. Hey, you never know, maybe he got desperate. But all in all, it's likely that the world just didn't feel like they needed another Justin Bieber. Number 9. Macklemore. When he stepped into the music scene 10 years ago, he was seen as unstoppable. Alongside his longtime producing partner Ryan Lewis, Macklemore captured the entire world's attention with his debut studio album The Heist. With record-breaking hits like Thrift Shop, Same Love, and Can't Hold Us, he firmly established himself as a socially conscious rapper and achieved big-time stardom. But in recent years, the hype around him has really fizzled out. This is in part due to Ryan Lewis's departure, because he was a critical part of Macklemore's early success. In 2017, the duo announced that they were splitting up and needed creative space from each other. Although there were no hard feelings, it's pretty obvious that Ryan's exit really impacted the quality of Macklemore's work, and there was definitely a shift in how his music was perceived by the public. But there were also some enormous changes that took place in Macklemore's personal life, because he's now a father of 3. Not only that, but he's more focused now on his charity work and community activism. So while many people seem to think that he's fallen off the face of the earth entirely, he's actually just turning his focus onto other endeavors. Number 8. Mischa Barton. In the early 2000s, she was one of the hottest stars on the Hollywood scene. Thanks to the success of the Fox teen drama The OC, the young actress was instantly thrust into the spotlight when she was just 17 years old. But after leaving the hit show in 2006, Mischa became a tabloid target and struggled to recapture her previous level of acting success. It really all happened after she was involved in several unfortunate incidents in 2007, including a hospitalization and a DUI arrest. Over the next few years, the paparazzi continued to hound her as she gained unwanted attention for things like a trip to the psych ward, a failed TV comeback, and even her fluctuating weight. She really tried to turn it around in 2019 by joining the cast of The Hills, New Beginnings, with most of the cast from the original reality series, including Heidi Montag, Spencer Pratt, Brody Jenner, and Audrina Patridge. But unfortunately, Mischa was not invited back for season 2 because, according to Brody, the actress didn't fit in with the rest of the cast. He said, "Bringing Mischa on to begin with was sort of awkward. It's a little bit upsetting because she has been planning a career comeback for more than a decade now, but she just hasn't been able to crack it." Number 7. Zooey Deschanel. Best known for 500 Days of Summer as well as the hit Fox series New Girl, Zooey was a huge star during the high points of her career. But after New Girl came to an end in 2018, her acting career has slowed down considerably. In fact, she's been largely absent from our screens over the past couple of years and doesn't seem to have any major roles lined up. So what happened? Well, as we know, from 2011 to 2018, Zooey played Jess, a sweet, quirky teacher who moves in with 3 strangers in Los Angeles after a terrible breakup. And although the role landed her an Emmy and Golden Globe nominations, it also pigeonholed her as a performer and made her harder to cast in roles that differed too drastically from Jess. So between New Girl and 500 Days of Summer, the fact is that many of Zooey's characters fit the definition of the manic pixie dream girl, which is a term describing those quirky female characters with a Disney princess mindset who only exist to give the male lead a new lease on life. So when people started criticizing that character trope in Hollywood, Zooey received a lot lot of backlash for almost exclusively taking those roles. And now that it's not as popular as it used to be, studio heads are way more hesitant to cast her. Number 6. Mike Myers. His name is synonymous with the hilarious and charismatic character Austin Powers. However, the actor is reportedly very difficult to work with in real life, which meant that he eventually found it quite difficult to keep starring in major films. There have been numerous reports suggesting that Myers is a nightmare on set, with some even claiming him to be a control freak and just outright grumpy. It has come to light that the actor makes tons of demands of his assistants. In fact, Myers reportedly made life a daily nightmare for the cast and crew of one of his biggest films. According to Amy Hill, who was his co-star in The Cat in the Hat, she said it was a horrible, nightmarish experience. Hill claimed that he selfishly kept everyone waiting for hours, overruled the director, and even had someone standing by just holding his personal chocolates in a dish. Quote, "It was so weird, it was just the worst, I was miserable." Another story involves a fan that offered to buy the actor a drink. After telling Myers how much he enjoyed his work, Myers allegedly just looked at him and said, "I can afford my own drinks," cursed at him and said, "Save your money for my next movie." Apart from being notoriously difficult to work with, his mean-spirited attitude towards regular people have shrunk his fan base down to a fraction of what it used to be. Number 5. Jamie Lynn Spears. People have started referring to Jamie Lynn as the Britney Spears from Wish, and it's easy to see why. They've labeled her as a knockoff to her pop star sister. Jamie Lynn started her career in film and television as a child, mostly playing the younger version of Britney's characters. But she didn't receive star status until landing the lead role as Zoe Brooks on the Nickelodeon show Zoey 101. And even when she was cast by its creator Dan Schneider, it was all because she looked a lot like her older sister. The boarding school set dramedy was a smash hit and cemented a young Jamie Lynn's acting career. But little did fans know there was actually a scandal brewing behind the set, as its star was just 16 when she fell pregnant, which would have been a bombshell for the very PG show. In her memoir, Things I Should Have Said, Jamie Lynn says her family and management pulled her out of school until they could figure out what to do next. And after the 4th season of Zoey 101, the network cancelled the series. Since then, her acting career has been on hiatus, and although she briefly tried to break through as a country star, Jamie Lynn has not been successful at rehabilitating her career since. Number 4. Tara Reid. There's no doubt that the American Pie star was one of Hollywood's it girls in the late 90s and early 2000s. She was gorgeous and totally fit the funny, pretty girl archetype in movies. Tara achieved real fame by playing Vicky in the hugely popular American Pie series, and she was also in Cruel Intentions, Van Wilder, and Scrubs. However, at the time of her blow-up in Hollywood, she was seen partying more and more and became less credible. Eventually, the publicity of her clubbing lifestyle led to her show on E! Called Taradise, which ended up flopping and just made things a whole lot worse for her image. From that point on, Tara would unfortunately be in and out of rehab and had trouble maintaining sobriety. The actress was also going through various issues stemming from botched plastic surgery, claiming in 2004 that breast implants and liposuction surgeries left her with disfigurements that damaged her career. She told Us Weekly, "My stomach became the most ripply, bulgy thing. I had a hernia, this huge bump next to my belly button. As a result, I couldn't wear a bikini. I lost a lot of work." She did, however, manage to nab a role in the comedy disaster film franchise Sharknado, but unfortunately, that reoccurring role wasn't enough to reboot her career. Number 3. Katherine Heigl. Television medical drama Grey's Anatomy catapulted Katherine Heigl into the limelight. The thing is, she had a reputation of being extremely unpleasant to work with on set, and after trashing her most popular movie ever, she lost a whole bunch of fans. I'm talking about 2007's Knocked Up. It was not just hilarious but very well received all round, scoring an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes and bringing in $219 million at the box office against a $25 million budget. But Katherine was less than thrilled about her participation in the movie and called the film sexist, telling Vanity Fair in 2008 that she thought the movie paints women as shrews, as humorless and uptight, and it paints the men as lovable, goofy, fun-loving guys. She went on to say that she had a hard time with the film on some days because she said that her character was a B-word and a killjoy. Not only that, but Heigl's bad reputation stems largely from her decision to decline a second Emmy nomination for Grey's Anatomy in 2008. She released a wince-inducing public statement that claims she simply wasn't given the material this season to warrant an Emmy nomination. Talk about biting the hand that feeds you. Number 2. Azealia Banks. With tongue-twisting lyricism, Azalea's debut single 212 2 is definitely one for the books. Pitchfork called it the 6th best song of the 2010s, and Billboard said it defined a decade. In fact, Rolling Stone placed it on the list of the 500 greatest songs ever made. The track was supposed to set her up for world domination. But these days, it's hard to think of any artist that has been marred in such controversy as Azealia. Her social media presence has created scandal after scandal, and the list of people she has feuded with is so extensive that it has its own section on Wikipedia. Her celebrity beef is super random and impossible to keep track of. For instance, she went on a huge rant on her Instagram story last year, insulting Doja Cat's looks and her music, saying, "Doja makes music for 10-year-olds and is very derivative. Cute girl, but her attempts at witty East Coast Roman reloaded flows are pitiful and not in the least amusing. And yes, she looked terrible before she lost weight." And in 2018, she accused Elon Musk of investment fraud and called him a beta male who took steroids and got hair plugs to convince himself that he was an alpha. She still occasionally makes attempts to collaborate with other artists, but at this stage, it would be difficult to find anyone that would still work with her. And coming in at number 1, Hayden Christensen. He was just 19 years old when he was cast as Anakin Skywalker, the man who would evolve into Darth Vader in the Star Wars prequel trilogy. It was set to be the role of a lifetime, and somehow, despite having limited leading man experience, Hayden was handpicked for the role out of a pool of more than 1,500 candidates. But unfortunately for the young actor, the prequels garnered overwhelmingly negative reviews from critics and fans alike. In reviews, his performance was referred to as unpolished, timid, and stiff, and many people just called him a straight-up bad actor. So instead of setting Hayden on a path for more high-profile film roles, the backlash that the prequels received led the Canadian actor to fade into obscurity. But it was also a choice that he made for himself at the time, telling the Los Angeles Times, "I guess I felt like I had this great thing in Star Wars that provided all these opportunities and gave me a career, but it all kind of felt a little too handed to me. I didn't want to go through life feeling like I was just riding a wave," which is actually quite sad when you think about it. But he does seem content now with less prominent roles and actually seems to prefer life outside of the spotlight. Number 10, Zac Efron. The High School Musical star really shocked fans with how different he looked in 2021, when a video surfaced online of his face looking extremely altered. When Zac appeared on camera for a virtual Earth Day event, everyone was totally distracted by his new appearance. Not only did he no longer have his iconic babyface look, but some people suggested that he had an altered jawline and enhanced lips, and suspected that he'd had, at the very least, some Botox done. It's true that he looked a little bit puffy or possibly swollen, but of course, camera angles, makeup, and poor lighting also could have contributed to the drastically different appearance. When the video started making the rounds on social media, popular TikTok surgeon Dr. Yun suggested that Zac might have gotten oral surgery, which would explain his swollen jaw, which would happen if your wisdom teeth were taken out, or you had some kind of other intensive dental surgery. But fans were not happy about the doctor's comments and accused him of trying to capitalize on Zac's popularity to gain attention. Although he does look different now, it's not necessarily a bad thing. The actor went on both The Ellen Show and Jimmy Kimmel Live recently and just looked a whole lot more mature. In fact, he seemed to have really grown into his features in the best way possible. Number 9, Khloe Kardashian. The Keeping Up with the Kardashian star is known for being the funniest and most laid back of all the sisters. But over the years, fans have seen such a drastic change in her appearance that it can only be put down to excessive plastic surgery. And while the reality star isn't too outspoken when it comes to her past procedures, she has opened up once before about the reason behind her choice to go under the knife. Quote, "For me, everyone says, oh my gosh, she's had her 3rd face transplant, but I've only had 1 nose job and everyone gets so upset. Like, why don't I talk about it? No one's ever asked me." She also revealed that she has done injections, but not really Botox, because when she tried it, her face responded horribly, but all the surgery was probably because of something deeper. In fact, later in the episode, Khloe explained how she experienced body image insecurity when doing photo shoots with her sisters, saying, "They would receive racks and racks of clothes, and I was told by so many different stylists I was given about 2 or 3 pieces of clothing, but not to worry because I would be in the background anyway," which is pretty unfortunate because being treated like that would upset just about anybody. Number 8, Rebel Wilson. The Australian actress has been in comedy since the early 2000s, but her career really took off a decade later in movies like What to Expect When You're Expecting, Struck by Lightning, and of course, Pitch Perfect. She's always been a huge health and body positive advocate and has frequently frequently opened up about her health journey. But the reason Rebel Wilson looks so drastically different in 2022 is that she has actually been working on her health and fitness since late 2019, and she has seen massive results. In a candid interview with the BBC, she talked about the differences in how she's being treated now. Quote, "Sometimes being bigger, people don't necessarily look twice at you. Now that I'm in good shape, people offer to carry my groceries to the car and hold doors open for you. And you think, is this what other people experience all the time?" So even though Rebel seems to be a lot happier now, she's also pointed out something that's really worth discussing. Her health journey has been a very public one, so it's great that the actress has decided not to hold back when talking about all the challenges that she's faced throughout. And she's certainly become an inspiration for others to make positive changes to their health. Number 7. Miley Cyrus. The 29-year-old singer and actress has lived so many lives already. She's been a Disney star, a country singer, then she moved to R&B for a while and back into pop. Miley has always been an eccentric performer. I mean, who can forget twerking against Robin Thicke at the MTV VMAs in 2013? But her whole style and aesthetic did a complete 180 somewhere around 2020 when she started embracing all things rock and roll. These days she looks completely unrecognizable with a platinum blonde mullet, metallic blue smoky eyeshadow, and a blue and white striped dress. She actually looks like an 80s rock star. The aesthetic change appears to be part of her newest musical era for her newest rock album, Plastic Hearts. It's still up for debate whether Miley is going for a more grunge or glam rock, but it's clear that she's chosen a whole nother genre for herself when it comes to not only style but music. After hearing her cover of Blondie's Heart of Glass, which was released as a single in late September, it became clear to so many that her voice is really suited to rock and roll. Alongside her cover of Zombie by the Cranberries and her own song Midnight Sky, it seems like she's really grown into her voice and found the perfect look for the genre. Number 6. Adele. Ever since her music blew up in the early 2010s, the powerhouse singer has released hit after hit. Her albums 21, 25, and 30 became instant successes, with all three topping number 1 on nearly every worldwide music chart. But fans were really shocked in 2020 when Adele made a post on social media that showed her completely transformed look. In fact, she joked about the change in her opening monologue for SNL, saying, "I know I look really different since you last saw me, but actually because of all the COVID restrictions, I had to travel light and I could only bring half of me, and this is the half I chose." The 34-year-old looks extremely happy these days, and she's recently opened up about the healthy lifestyle changes she made that helped her lose 100 pounds in 2 years. But she knows that plenty of negative comments have surfaced about her new look, and she told British Vogue, "My body has been objectified my entire career. It's not just now. I understand why it's a shock. I understand why some women especially were hurt. Visually, I represent a lot of women, but I'm still the same person." So it's clear that Adele is very much herself, just with a newfound confidence. Number 5. Kesha. The singer shocked fans when she debuted her glamorous and sophisticated new look at the Studio 666 premiere in Hollywood. The 34-year-old was truly unrecognizable with a dark, short bob and a plain black dress in a major style transformation from her party girl days. Kesha wore a plunging, lace-up, short, tight black leather dress that accentuated both her chest and her legs. Her brunette hair was slicked back with natural-looking makeup. The Grammy Award winner has been known to drastically alter her appearance through the years, but her new, almost bare-faced look was a complete flip from her usual bright, eccentric style with heavy makeup and her signature long, wavy blonde hair. So making the change from blonde to brunette and chopping her hair into a chin bob length made all the difference in the world. But aside from desperately waiting for Kesha to release new music, fans are also longing for the conclusion of her lengthy legal battle with her former producer Dr. Luke, which has been ongoing since 2014. The defamation lawsuit against her seems like it's gonna go on forever at this stage, and it has really kept her career in a kind of limbo. But it's clear that she's already planning some kind of a comeback with her new style. Number 4. Linda Evangelista. The Canadian fashion model was undoubtedly one of the top supermodels from the 1990s and is regarded as one of the most accomplished and influential models of all time. In fact, she's been featured on over 700 magazine covers, but Linda hasn't really been seen in public very much in the last 5 years or so, and fans recently found out why. In September last year, she took to Instagram and revealed that she had undergone cool sculpting treatment to her face, which she says left her unrecognizable. As it allegedly caused fat cells in her face to multiply. Quote, "To my followers who have wondered why I have not been working while my peers' careers have been thriving, the reason is that I was brutally disfigured." She went on to say that the procedure actually did the opposite of what it was promised. In fact, what happened to her was a rare but serious side effect of cool sculpting, and the model said the treatment not only destroyed her livelihood, but sent her into a cycle of deep depression, profound sadness, and the lowest depths of self-loathing, which is extremely sad when you consider just how much it would have affected her self-esteem. Number 3. Iggy Azalea. The Australian rapper made her US debut in 2014 with the release of her first album, The New Classic, which debuted at number 1 on the Billboard rap chart. From her collaborations with some of our favorite pop princesses to her gorgeous curves, Iggy Azalea has consistently commanded headlines all over the globe. But recently, a lot of it has been plastic surgery rumors, considering how much her appearance has changed over the years. Confirming the suspicions, the Aussie hitmaker admitted that she has had rhinoplasty. She said, "I'm not denying it. Denying it is lame. I don't think you should be ashamed if you've made a change to yourself, which is why I've spoken about the changes I've made, like with my breasts." Iggy was always pretty straightforward about her decision to have surgery, saying, "Your perception of yourself can change a lot over time, so I think it's important to wait and make sure it's the right choice. Plastic surgery is an emotional journey. It's no easy feat to live with your flaws and accept yourself, and it's no easy feat to change yourself. Either way you look at it, it's a tough journey," which is a great message to get out there, considering that there's still a lot of stigma behind just admitting to having done plastic surgery in the first place. Number 2. Sharon Osbourne. The former The Talk panelist is no stranger to plastic surgery, and it really seemed to work with her over the years, considering her appearance was never altered too drastically. But all that changed in late 2021 when she got a facelift that, in her own words, ended up making her look like a cyclops. Quote, "I had a full facelift done in October, and I looked like one of those effing mummies that they wrap with bandages." She told the Sunday Times that the whole thing hurt like hell, but what was even worse is that all the pain never really paid off for her. Sharon said that after the more than 5-hour surgery, she was left looking horrendous, and she even told the surgeon, quote, "You've got to be effing joking. One eye was different to the other. I looked like an effing cyclops. All I need is a hunchback." It sounds funny, but it would have been a nightmare for her. Even her husband, Ozzy Osbourne, was totally against the results. Fortunately, she was able to undergo reconstructive work, and she's now a lot more satisfied with her appearance. And coming in at number 1, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. Of all the famous twins in Hollywood, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen are probably the most mysterious. The former child stars announced an abrupt and permanent retirement from acting more than 15 years ago, and ever since then they've kept a low profile. But the twins are still hard at work on their fashion line and other business endeavors. But when photos surfaced over the years of Mary-Kate looking drastically different from Ashley, fans began speculating that one or both sisters may have had plastic surgery. People were pretty rude when it came to targeting the appearance of both of them, with some outlets reporting that Ashley underwent a botched facelift and that Mary-Kate looked a lot older. In fact, one plastic surgeon who spoke to Life and Style magazine insisted that the changes could have come from other factors, such as nicotine products or lifestyle changes. The sisters looked surprisingly similar when they were younger, which caused most people to assume that they were identical, but they're actually fraternal twins, which might help explain their physical differences now. The girls did have a brief chance to get back on the screens recently in the revival of their original show, Fuller House, but they just weren't interested in participating, which seemed to disappoint a lot of fans. But it only served to make them more mysterious as they continued to live ever so private lives.